When I can focus on my business instead of my admin, it's a liberating experience. I have more time to focus on my customers or grow my business, and I don't have to worry about repetitive tasks that drain my workday. This is the key reason I use packages. What are the tasks we repeat? Well, there's creating quotes, creating projects. How about scheduling services, deliveries, and collections? Then there's keeping track of hired products, checking pricing is accurate, and of course, creating invoices to make sure we get paid. What can we do to make this easier? The answer is packages. Packages make you more efficient so you can focus on running your business. In a nutshell, what happens is you enter the information once, that information is used to create a quote, you make adjustments to the quote for any special circumstances, the customer accepts the quote, you click Load Quote. A project is created, including the invoice details, the service scheduling, product deliveries and collections, and the invoice runs right there and then and there, or at the end of the month if it is an arrears customer. Or, if you don't need a quote, you skip the above steps and create a project directly from a package. Sound good? Well, let's take a closer look to see how it works. We have set up a sample company called Shredoc. Shredoc hires locked bins to customers and then visits the customer's premises to empty out those bins. I enter a date the package should start, as well as a project name. I can then select a new invoice group or add to an existing one. Invoice groups allow you to invoice multiple projects on the same invoice. So I can have 2 projects on the same invoice. If I want projects to appear on the same invoice, I would select the invoice group of that other project here. As this customer only has 1 project, I'm going to select New. I then enter the site or project address where the work will be performed. To learn more about adding addresses, follow the help in that screen. I select the customer's market. Markets can be added or edited once setup is complete in the General tab in the Preferences menu. You can also set individual customer pricing for any package. If you use individual customer pricing, you would select this account. You can learn more about individual pricing in the Prices tab. For now, I'm going to select the package by project type. If you're not seeing the packages you expect, make sure you have selected the right project type. In this case, the package allows me to change service frequencies because the service price does not change with the service frequency. I'm going to select a service frequency of twice a week. I can also sub-select products in this package. I'm going to select 2 medium bins and 1 small bin. To learn more about making packages more flexible, follow the Advanced Packages course in the Packages tab. I click OK and the package is loaded. All the product and scheduling information is stored in the scheduling screen. You can see that 3 bins have been loaded for twice a week servicing. The delivery and services have been scheduled, as you can see in the trips screen. Again, you can see that the servicing is twice a week. The services were loaded on a Monday and a Thursday because these are the standard route days for this area group. You can change standard route days at any time, and you can also use the Manage Trips tab to change the route days on this project at any time. Because this customer is an advanced customer, the invoice has also been run. I can also use packages to create a quote. First, we click on Load Package in the quote screen. I enter the date the package should start, as well as which area the product or service will be delivered in. If my package includes any transport and I have left the price empty, the price will load according to the transport price for this area. This time I'm going to select 3 bins. I click OK and the quote is loaded. Notice how the transport cost and correct dates have been added, and the quote shows if I have available stock. If I wanted to change service frequencies or edit the quote to allow for any special circumstances, I could do so now. However, if it is a standard quote, I just add the contact details. I also add the address details. To learn more about adding contacts and addresses, follow the help in those screens. I can now email the quote to the customer. Emailing of quotes is covered in the quotes course. When the customer confirms the quote, I can create a project from the quote. Creating projects from quotes is covered in more depth in the quotes course, but again, all the scheduling information will be loaded. This time for 3 bins serviced once a week. You can see that a new project is loaded, and this one has 3 bins with once a week servicing. The service day has loaded as a Tuesday because the Tuesday is for once a week servicing on this area group. Again, the invoice has run. To learn more about the running of invoices and how to change them, follow the help in that screen. Before we start, let's take some time to understand how packages work. There's 4 things we need to know. The Hire and Service app is going to start with all the charge and scheduling information loaded in the package. Then it's going to allow some of the package settings to be changed on loading, and then it's going to process that information to create new quotes or projects, or add to existing projects. Basically, data goes in the one end and projects and quotes come out the other. There are just 2 steps involved in creating packages: loading the package settings and loading the basic charges. Let's have a look at the first of those now. Firstly, we need to give this package a name. One of the packages our sample company Shredoc offers is that it hires its bins out per month and services them once per week. So we're going to call this package Monthly Hire including weekly service. We need to decide what kind of project this is. In the case of our sample company, it offers this package mainly to customers who pay monthly in advance for this service, as they don't have an account with their company. And since the bin is hire per month, it's on a recurring basis, so I'm going to choose Cash, Recurring. There are 2 more advanced settings here which make packages more flexible, but I'm going to keep it simple for now. We'll cover those settings in another course. I can now move on to the package detail. First, we need to load the package settings. These are fairly self-explanatory, but we'll go through them step by step. End. Here we enter the project length. In the case of our sample company, the bin is hired per month, so the initial period will end 1 month after the project starts. If the project length is a matter of days, make sure you count the start day and the end day, so a project which starts on Monday and ends on Friday would be 4 days. Recurring. Is the project period going to be extended after the initial period is finished? In the case of the sample company, the bin is hired monthly, so it's going to be extended by a month when the initial period is finished. It's recurring. In the case of a weekend event, on the other hand, the project dates won't be extended, so it is not recurring. Even if you do the same event again next year, it's going to be a new project with new dates, not an extension of the original project period, so it's not recurring. Calendar. Do you want this project to appear on the event calendar? Generally, the event calendar is used to keep track of once-off rather than recurring projects, so I'm going to leave it off the event calendar. Print quote. These will be the standard settings when printing this quote. I'm going to choose the detail, total, and ongoing settings. Detail means the prices will show per line item rather than only the total. Total means the total of all the line items will display on the quote. And ongoing indicates that the initial period can be extended. You can change these settings when you load a quote to allow for specific circumstances. Terms. Here you select the company terms which apply to this package. Payment terms indicate the payment terms which apply to this package. Special terms, comments, and the quote close are also available to edit in case there is anything else you wish to add. Now we can get into the detail by adding a section. Packages can have multiple sections, but we're going to keep things simple for now and just add one section. I'm going to give the package a title and the product which this package relates to. If your company doesn't hire products, this step won't be relevant to you. In the case of the sample company, this package relates to the hire of a bin. So I'm going to add that bin here. That's it. The key to understanding packages is understanding the basic charges. The good news is there's just 4, so we're going to explore all of those in this video. There's a fixed charge, a service charge, a trip charge, and supplies. For each line item or charge, we're going to cover what you could do with it and when it adds value for you to use it. The first of the basic charges is a fixed charge. A fixed charge is a flat fee which is unrelated to servicing. By far the most common fixed charge is product hire. For example, in our sample company, Shredock, which supplies locked bins to companies and then services them by emptying the bins out, bin hire is charged per month and is unrelated to servicing. So you might be thinking, but my company only does servicing. Why would I ever need a fixed charge? You might not, but sometimes, even in service-only businesses, flat fees might be charged. Examples are, you're doing an out-of-town project and you charge your customer for accommodation while out of town. No matter how much servicing you do, the accommodation charge won't vary. That makes it a fixed charge. You might be doing a very large event for which you charge a management fee. Again, the fee won't vary if you change your servicing, so it is a fixed charge. First, we click on Add Item. You can see that certain item types have been preloaded, but we are going to click on Other in order to learn how to construct any charge from scratch. So the first thing you have to select is which of the 4 item types you are loading. We are loading a fixed item type, which is indicated here already. The next decision is whether the item type is for a repeat period or specific dates. In the case of the bin hire company, the charge is monthly, so we select repeat period. Then we have to decide whether the item type relates to a product. In this case, it relates to the hire of a bin. So we select each product. Now we decide how often we want to make that charge, in our case once a month, and then we decide whether we are going to apportion that charge for a part month. If we choose or part thereof, a customer will be charged for a full month's hire, even if he only has the bin for 2 weeks. If we charge the customer on an apportion basis, he will be charged according to the time he has the product on hire. In our case, I'm going to choose the apportion method. Now I enter the price per month, and you can see that the duration of the initial hire period has already been entered. So we can update the package with this item type. The second basic item type is a service. A service item type is self-explanatory. It's for a service. The Hire and Service app comes with one service type preloaded called service, but you can load different types of services. For example, an assessment service, a clean-out service, or an annual service. So you might be thinking, but my company only hires products. Why would I ever need a service item type? You might not, but sometimes, even in hire-only businesses, service item types might be needed. For example, if you schedule a site visit to examine a defective hired product, you may not even want to charge your customer for this site visit. But if you did, you could load it as a service item type. So let's see how that works now. First, we click on Add Item to add an item type. Again, we are going to click on Other in order to learn how to construct any item type from scratch. So the first thing you have to do is select which of the 4 item types you are loading. We are loading a service. Again, we need to know whether the charge is for a repeat period or specified dates. So a service that occurs weekly would be a repeat period, but if the customer phones for a once-off additional service, that would be a service for specified dates. In the case of the bin hire company, the service is weekly, so we select repeat period. Then we have to decide whether the charge relates to a product. In this case, it relates to the service of a bin, so we select each product. Now we decide how often we want to do that service. In our case, once a week. We then enter $4.50 as the price per service. You can see that the initial duration of hire has already been entered, based on a hire period of a month. So we can update the package with this item type. Lastly, we need to tell the app which day we want to service this product on. If we leave it on default days, the services will automatically fall on the root days. For example, if the project address is loaded on the central route and the central route is serviced on a Wednesday, the service will automatically load on a Wednesday. Alternatively, you can load the actual service day you want the service to occur by clicking on Specify Days and entering the day. You can see here that you can also set your service period to start after the quote period starts. This would be necessary if, for example, you deliver the bin on a Monday and you normally service on a Tuesday. You might not want to service the bin that first Tuesday as it has just been delivered, in which case you would set the start and end date to be, say, 1 or 2 days after the project period starts. But generally, when loading a package, it is better to let the routing settings decide when to load the services. So we are going to leave this setting as default days. The third basic item type is a trip charge. A trip charge occurs with each trip. The most common example of a trip charge is transport. So you may want to charge delivery or collection when you deliver or collect a hired product, or you may want to charge transport on a service. The most important thing to remember about a trip charge is that it occurs per trip and not per service. So for example, if your customer has 3 bins at their premises and you make one trip to service all 3 bins, you charge transport on that trip, not per service. The second thing to note about trip charges is that even though transport is the most common, it is not the only kind of trip charge. Another example of a trip charge might be an after-hours charge. For example, if your customer calls you on a Sunday for an emergency service of 3 bins, you might want to charge an after-hours fee for making that trip. So let's see how that works now. We click on Add Item to add an item type. Again, we are going to click on Other in order to learn how to construct any item type from scratch. So the first thing you have to select is which of the 4 item types you are loading. We are loading a trip. Again, we need to know whether the charge is for a repeat period or specified dates. So if you are charging transport with every service of a certain type, that would be for a repeat period. But if you only charge on a particular date and never again, that would be on specified dates. So in the case of our sample company, they are charging for delivery of the bin. So that is just once off, on delivery of the bin. So I'm going to set it as specify dates. Again, we have to decide whether the charge relates to a product. When our sample company delivers large bins, the delivery vehicles can deliver up to 10 bins with each trip. So the transport charge does not relate to each bin, but to each trip. So we choose each trip. Now we need to decide on what kind of service are we going to charge this transport. In the case of Shreddock, transport is charged with every delivery, so we select delivery. Now I change the description to delivery. I'm going to leave the price empty because if I leave the price empty, then when I load it, the delivery charge for that area will load. If you charge the same delivery price for every area, you can fill this in. The duration is just one trip. Again, I specify days or dates, but as my charge occurs with the delivery, I'm going to leave that as it is. The last basic item type is supplies. Supplies are products or consumables we deliver with each service of a certain type. The most common type of supplies is consumables. So, for example, a pool company might issue a dose of pool chemical with each service. Other types of supplies might include windows for a Windows installation service. The important thing to remember with supplies is that when the services are loaded, each service will actually attach those supplies. So each pool service will attach that dose of pool chemical. This helps you to manage the issue and return of consumables or other products you supply. However, if you do not charge separately for consumables with a service, you should not add them to a package. For example, if your company charges, say, $5 per dose of pool chemical issued with each service, add that to the package. But if your company issues 1 dose of pool chemical with each service, and it is included in the price of the service, that kind of supply should be added in the Standard Supplies tab in the Settings menu. So how does this work? First, we again click on Add Item to add an item type. And again, we are going to click on Other in order to learn how to construct any item type from scratch. We select which of the first 4 item types we are loading. We are loading supplies. Again, we need to know whether the charge is for a repeat period or specified dates. So if you are loading supplies with every service of a certain type, that would be for a repeat period. But if you only charge on a particular date and never again in the lifetime of the project, that would be on specified dates. In the case of our sample company, they give a lock and key when they deliver the bin. So that is just once off on delivery of the bin. So I set it to specify dates. Again, we have to decide whether the charge relates to a product. Our sample company issues a lock and key for each bin they deliver, so we select each product. Then we need to decide on what kind of service are we going to deliver this supply. In the case of Shredock, the lock and key is issued with every delivery, so we select Delivery. Now I select the description of the supply item I'm delivering, lock and key. I enter the price for the lock and key. The duration for any once-off item is usually 1. Let's take a moment to consider the standard item types. Certain charges occur often in many businesses, so in order to prevent users from having to think carefully through how they construct each line item, some line items have been preloaded. So if, for example, I click on Collection, you can see that a charge type, which makes sense as a collection, has been preloaded. It is a trip charge on specified dates. The charge is per trip, and it is charged on collection. The description has loaded as transport. So before you load a line item from scratch, check whether any one of the preloaded line items describes the charge you wish to add. I don't need this line item now, so I'm going to click Cancel. The package is complete, so all that is left is to save it. I scroll back up to the top and click Lastly, let's see how we can use that package. Firstly, I'm going to create a new customer. I click on the plus sign to the right of the search bar. This opens a dialog which allows me to search my contacts to ensure I have not added this customer previously. I can search by name or telephone number. If you do not find the contact, click on OK to add a new account. I enter the account name and the account's primary project type. You can also enter other relevant details here. If you are not sure which details to add, click on Help at any time. I now click on the Quotes tab to add the package as a quote. I enter the date the package should start, as well as the area to which the product or service will be delivered. If my package includes any transport and I have left the price empty in the package, the price will be loaded according to the transport price for this area. You can also set individual customer pricing for any package. If you use individual customer pricing, you would select this account. You can learn more about individual pricing in the Prices tab. For now, I'm going to select the package by project type. If you're not seeing the packages you expect, make sure you have selected the right project type. If the package has different products, you can subselect products here. You can also change the product quantities and, in some cases, service frequencies. To learn more about making packages more flexible, follow the Advanced Packages course in the Packages tab. I click OK and the quote is loaded. Notice how the transport cost and correct dates have been added. I can now add the quote details that relate to this particular customer, the project address and the contact details. To learn more about adding contacts and addresses, follow the help in those screens. When you are ready to load the quote as a project, you can click on Load Quote, and all the products and services will be logged and scheduled, and the invoice will be created for a customer which is invoiced in advance. If I don't need to send a customer a quote, I can also load the package directly as a project. I enter the date the package should start, as well as the project name. I can select a new invoice group or add to an existing one. Invoice groups allow you to invoice multiple projects on the same invoice. So I can have 2 projects on the same invoice. If I want both projects to appear on the same invoice, I would select the invoice group of the other project here. As this customer only has 1 project, I'm going to select New. I then enter the site or project address where the work will be performed. To learn more about adding addresses, follow the help in that screen. I select the customer's market. To add new markets, go to the General tab in the Preferences menu. You can also set individual customer pricing for any package. If you use individual customer pricing, you would select this account. You can learn more about individual pricing in the Prices tab. For now, I'm going to select the package by project type. If you're not seeing the packages you expect, make sure you have the right project type selected. If the package has different products, you can sub-select products here. You can also change the product quantities. To learn more about making packages more flexible, follow the Advanced Packages course in the Packages tab on the Preferences menu. I click OK and the package is loaded. All the project and scheduling information is stored in the scheduling screen. The delivery and services have been scheduled, as you can see in the trips screen. And because this customer is an advanced customer, the invoice has been run. To learn more about how to use these screens, follow this help in the screen you wish to learn more about. The last way to load a package is to load it onto an existing project, demonstrated here. I enter the date the additional work should start. You can also set individual customer pricing for any package. If you use individual customer pricing, you would select this account. You can learn more about individual pricing in the Prices tab. For now, I'm going to select the package by project type. If you're not seeing the packages you expect, make sure you have the right project type. If the package has different products, you can sub-select products here. You can also change the product quantities and sometimes service frequencies depending on your package settings. To learn more about making packages more flexible, follow the Advanced Packages course in the Packages tab.